All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I got a little update about my off-season push. I'll touch a bit on the injury recovery that I'm dealing with, the herniated disc, and yeah, we'll go over what my plan looks like right now and what the next several weeks are going to look like. Anyways, to start off with the push, I checked in yesterday and decided to tell my coach that it's probably a good time to pull the plug here. It wasn't solely my decision. He actually poked at the idea of pulling back a little early a couple weeks ago, just based on this injury I'm dealing with. And if I'm being honest with myself, the body composition has slipped a little bit. Definitely the last, I want to say, 5 pounds, it's starting to look a little soft. So I think maybe pushed it a week too far, but all in all, I think it was the right call to pull it now instead of waiting till next week, which was the original plan. So basically, the reason I decided to pull it early is just outside of the gym life. The way I described it to my coaches, every day it just feels like climbing a mountain. Been pushing hard for like 8 months here, and no matter how hardcore you are, how dedicated you are, how on top of everything you are, your body's going to give in eventually, and you need a break. So that's basically where I'm at. And I kind of have mixed feelings about it because, the passionate meathead inside of me, is a little hard on myself saying, like, oh, you're just being a pussy. You should have saw it through. You could have milked out a little bit more progress. But, like the logical, more mature side of me says, you're just going to push another week. You're going to dig yourself into a deeper hole. The juice isn't going to be worth the squeeze. And that's the truth of it. So I think it was a good opportunity for me to be mature. Whereas in the past, I would have just, gave myself every reason to keep pushing. And yeah, I think giving myself an extra week of cruising before prep will be more beneficial than pushing another week in the grand scheme of things. So that's where we're at with that. Some just to touch on some things that made me decide to pull back. Sleep was horrendous. For I mean, it's been pretty bad for the last like 4 weeks, I would say, but it was tolerable for up until this week, I'd say. And then this week has just been really bad. Every hour or two waking up, you know, wake up, pee, put my CPAP mask back on, and then, I don't typically have an issue breathing with the CPAP, but, you know, with being quite a bit heavier than I ever have been, I'm definitely experiencing some of that now, and that's been a big issue. So the breathing, just being uncomfortable with being heavy and bigger, it's a lot harder to be comfortable in bed. So honestly, like at the end of the days, it's like I I couldn't wait to go to bed because I was so exhausted. Like every day just kind of has been feeling like climbing a mountain is the way I described it. And I know I'm probably dramatizing it a little much here, but like seriously, like I have been feeling really fucking shitty. So lost my train of thought there, but the sleep has been horrendous. Just overall feeling softer and just like not great about my body. And then obviously like the injury on top of that. So, having a herniated disc on top of being heavier than you've ever been, it's just like every day it's just been very unenjoyable. Let's say that, in pain basically 24/7. I mean, when I'm on my ass, it's fine. That's not where the nerve issues are really acting up. But I'm not someone that really has an easy time sitting on my ass all day. I like to get up and move around, and if I'm on my feet for 5 minutes, then it really lights up, and it's just a big headache. So like going for a walk after a meal is uncomfortable. Prepping food is uncomfortable because I'm standing up doing that. Any little chore around the house. So you know, that was another factor, of course. And on top of that, it's just like the big thing too is the body composition. So it's like if I'm going through all this and I'm happy with how my body composition's looking, then I could justify it. But it's like at this point, just kind of felt like I was getting softer. So that was the reason for pulling back early. Now moving on to a little update about the injury. I'm not quite sure if it's getting better, if I'm being honest. I do feel like in my head that the pain is more tolerable and less frequent, but at the same time, I question myself: am I just, convincing myself that it's getting better, and it's really not, because very much so still. When I get up in the morning, it fucking hurts. Like I can't pose properly when I'm doing my check-ins, which I do every day. Having a hard like the morning is when it's the worst for sure. So getting out of the bed, first few steps, very painful, and as the day goes on, it becomes more tolerable. Luckily, I don't feel like it's interfering with my training whatsoever at this point, so that's a big positive. But I know if I don't have it sorted out by prep, it's going to be an issue, uh, because I do say that it isn't interfering with my training, but at the same time, you know, the pain is there and it's in the back of your head that it's there. So it's like, even if I'm doing like a seated row, if I'm bracing with my one leg, I'll feel it. So it's like, it's hard to focus on the target muscle when, you have this shooting pain down your leg as much as you want to, try to ignore it, just like those little things, or even just like walking from one machine to another. It's like you show up at that machine and it's like, okay, I got a bit of pain in my leg, but I'm going to hop into the set and it's still going to be there. So I guess to summarize, it's the injury is still very much there, and I have a long ways to go before it's resolved as far as I'm concerned. That being said, I am going to be focusing a lot more on that recovery during this cruise phase. That was kind of my mindset for the last couple of weeks. It's like, okay, I'm going to try and do what I can within my normal realm of how I do things and see what I can get away with and hopefully recover it. And there was something, if I'm going to be honest, there were a couple things I was doing that my physiotherapist advised against. Like since day one, he, wanted me to stay off my feet as much as possible, which, yes, I have been doing, but at the same time, it's like, uh, you know, I'm walking up hills when I go for my walks in between meals. Like, not literal hills, but like, some of the route I take is on an incline, and that would light it up. So now I picked a new route that's all flat, and that's seeming to help. Another thing is he advised against doing any cardio on the Stairmaster. If I'm going to be honest, I was still doing some of that, and definitely that was definitely lighting it up. So I'm gonna discontinue the Stairmaster cardio 100%. I do have a stationary bike on the way, which is what he recommended. So I'm going to be doing all my cardio on that for these next 6 weeks. So I think that's going to have a lot of impact, and I might even substitute some of my walks between meals with that as well. I don't want to eliminate the walking entirely because it is something I actually really enjoy. I spend most of my time at home on my computer, so going for those walks are a good way to detach. So as long as I can minimize the inflammation while doing that, I'm going to try to keep those in. And then just overall, I'm just going to try to be on my ass a little more. At this point, I'm not sure what my coach's plans are for reducing output during this cruise, but it is still fairly high in terms of cardio, so he might want to pull it back a ton anyway. So it's like if he wants me to stay on my ass, that's perfect. And I think now's a good time too, because going into a prep, even if I do get a little softer because my output's down a little bit, we're going into a prep, so we'll just have to pull it off then. So, kind of rambled on there. I apologize, but that's basically the injury update. Now, looking at the plan, really not a lot of changes to the plan moving into the cruise, as of now at least. I checked in yesterday. He wants to keep the diet exactly where it is. I don't know if he'll pull it down at all during this cruise, but if we keep the food high, I understand the concept. He probably wants me to hold this weight as much as possible, seeing as it is a new weight for me, and I'm quite far away from my quote unquote baseline. So, oh shoot, I'm not even looking at the right diet here. But anyways, yeah. So we're holding everything the same as where it was, diet wise. Cardio still remains the same, as I said. When that when that bike arrives, I'm gonna be doing that instead of the step mill. And honestly, I'm not even doing this during that waiting time. I'm just gonna be doing morning walks instead. I'm just avoiding the stairmaster at all cost. So that's that diet wise. Training wise, like I mentioned earlier, it's still going very well. I feel like a tank in the gym, strength wise. Numbers are consistently going up. The only thing is, being heavy and pretty out of shape, you know, it is a bit strenuous cardiovascularly. But, that's going to improve when weight starts coming off. That's just cost of business. But, anyways, my coach's directions for training is next week I'm going to be doing training only 3 days per week, and then the remainder of the cruise down to 4 days per week. So I'll do something like the 4 days per week. It'll just be a push, pull, legs, arms. I'll do like 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, and then 2 days off, which I'm really looking forward to because I'm going to be honest, reflecting on the off season, I think I was doing a little too much. Because I did actually decide to scale my volume down a little bit the last couple weeks, and strength definitely trended in the right direction. So that's probably a sign I was doing too much. Ever since I finished competing last year and have been pushing, I was in this mindset of, I'm basically doing this full time. Like, this is consuming all my energy. So there's no reason why I can't train high volume, high intensity. And I kept justifying this to myself. And that's just not the truth. Otherwise, you know, every professional bodybuilder would just be training as much as possible, as much volume as possible. But you are limited by your recovery, no matter how much energy you're putting into the sport. So, I think even moving forward into the prep, I can't see myself going back to a split where I'm training any more than 2 days in a row without a rest day. So, what that will look like, I'm not sure. Even throughout prep, I know my back training and my arm training are gonna remain a priority. So it'll probably reflect that, but it'll probably be a 2 on, 1 off where I'm training back and arms at the highest frequency. Even if legs happens to be fall every 8 or 9 days instead of once a week, my legs seem to continue to progress no matter what I do with them. So I wouldn't even be opposed to that. I do really enjoy training legs, but at a certain point, you got to be objective and look at your physique and say, okay, this is what I need to prioritize, and you got to throw your emotions to the side. So, anyways, that's a little bit on training, and then PED wise, obviously scaled things down. So we're down to 400 tests. So the actual numbers, just for easy measurement, I'm actually going to be doing 350 tests. I believe it's 210 Masteron, down to eight units of growth. T4 always stays in. Blood pressure control, 80 milligrams Telmisartan. And we're going to pull the Arimidex rate out. Traditionally on this dose, my estrogen is going to be high without an AI, but with some Masteron in the mix, it should not bring the estrogen down, but mitigate the effects a little bit. So that's that. That's basically everything on the plan. And I was actually going to do this earlier, but I totally forgot. But anyways, we'll take a look at where the body comp's at right now. So these are check-ins I actually took today. The ones I sent to my coach yesterday were just horrendous. I slept like shit. I was just watery as hell. It was just a really bad look. So I don't even really, I wouldn't even say really, but I don't like these check-in pics at all. But these are 10 times better than the ones I sent him yesterday. So anyways, I'll go through them. So front relax, quarter turn, rear relax. So definitely, like, looking at my glutes, this is the softest they've ever been. Part of that is I'm having a hard time posing with this herniated disc. My left side, really having a hard time firing off my glutes. Like, you'll even see, like, if you look at the right side ventral glute, it's definitely firing off way more than my left side. So, yes, my glutes are very soft, but I don't think that the posing's doing them any justice. They might be a little leaner than they look. A little bit of detail in my hamstring still, but overall, softest I've been in the back for a while, but nothing I'm concerned about prep wise. Quarter turn, front double bicep. So just reflecting on the off season as a whole, this was a shot that needed massive improvement, mainly lats from the front and arms when they're up in the air. Wouldn't say they're impressive by any means, but I can, I can confidently say that there was big progress on them, and I can tell that they were made a priority. This, I would say, this used to be probably, if not my weakest, one of my weakest shots, and at this point, I think it's one of my better looking ones. So, definitely happy with how that one's looking. Front lat spread, even here, less gaps in the front lat spread there. So definitely some size put on from the front. Side chest, here another improved shot. My arms were not nearly this big from the side before. Delts fucking blew up this off season, which is funny because I really didn't put much thought or effort into them. Anyone that watches my training on Instagram knows I kind of just do some sloppy lateral raises, bent over rear delt flies, and dumbbell pressing for shoulders with questionable form. So I think that's just a genetic strong point, but they definitely blew up this off season, which is fucking awesome because delts are definitely a standout body part when you have them. Back double bicep, again, soft from the back. Love handles are somewhere that I definitely hold most of my fat, so you'll see they're hanging over pretty good there. Again, not too far gone, but softer than I've traditionally gotten. Rear lat spread, side tricep. Kind of hard to get in this shot right now, but I think my legs do look great from the side. I've made some big improvements considering I haven't been able to do any hip hinging this off season. Just with curls alone, I think I put some good size on my hamstrings. So definitely happy with how both the side shots look. And then lastly, the ab and thigh and most muscular. Most muscular, definitely my best shot, and I think it improved just with the delts coming up more. Biceps look bigger in the shot. Legs obviously grew. Ab and thigh. Another one I feel like I've gotten quite soft in. Serratus is very very blurry at this point, and the abs themselves. A couple lines hanging on, but kind of depends on the day. Some days I hit it better than others. This is actually a shot I'm having a really hard time getting into right now because of the herniated disc. So that could be partially why it doesn't look as detailed. I'm probably just not hitting it very well. If you can't tell by how it looks, it's quite uncomfortable. So, anyways, I think that is everything to talk about. I know it was a bit long winded, but I hope you guys were happy to hear about all that. And I guess overall, man, I'm just with pulling back on this push, a lot of weight off my shoulders, and I'm looking forward to spending this next 6 weeks to just get better, get healthier, get feeling good again. I know it's not going to happen overnight, but I think by next week, I'm going to feel like I'm going to have a little more like pep in my step, I guess you could say. And just overall, I'm going to take this time to, it's easier said than done for me, but I just want to take some time to, not disconnect, but you know, allocate a little bit of energy elsewhere, whether that be coaching business. I do put a lot of energy into my coaching business, but I could always do better. And just life outside of bodybuilding. You know, and just not be so neurotic. If there's a day where I'm busy with doing shit and I have to train after 3 meals instead of two, so be it. Don't get stressed out about it. Just just go to the gym later, which is something that in the last 8 months, like, no fucking way. Like, if I'm training this day, that's when I'm going to the gym. And I just feel like I'm very limited on like schedule wise when I live like that. So I will definitely be back to that in prep if I'm being honest. But I want to take these next 6 weeks and just try to live a little more loosely. It's going to be really hard if anybody knows me, and I might be unsuccessful. I have no idea, but I'm going to make the effort to be. Anyways, yeah, that's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And yeah, I will see you next time.